Hello everyone, welcome to Best Recipes with Sharon. Stay with me throughout this entire video and I'll show you how to make moist oatmeal maple syrup muffins. They're one of my very favorites. They're pleasantly sweet and moist, and they can be complemented easily. You can use nuts or raisins or dates to top them off with. Today I'm using dates. And before we get started, just a reminder to check out my new cookbook. And I have provided a quick link in the description below this video. So alright, let's get back to today's video. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Place some paper liners in your muffin tin. You'll need enough for about 12 muffins. Start by placing 2 cups of oatmeal into a large mixing bowl. Add 1 cup of milk. The next ingredient is very Canadian, a half a cup of maple syrup. This will bless the muffin with a natural sweetness. And just to add to that a little bit, add 2/3 of a cup of light brown sugar, and that should be lightly packed. Now then you need to add 2 large eggs. And you can mix this batter using a large spoon, but I start out with my paddle attachment, being careful not to overmix. Go ahead and add 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and also a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now 1/3 of a cup of canola oil, and 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. Now here's where you want to mix it just until it's combined. This is where I remove the paddle attachment, and you can see that the batter is a little bit on the runny side. That is normal. That's what makes your muffins so moist. And here I'm adding 1/2 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. My son and daughter-in-law Darren and Elaine brought this back from Mexico for me, and I believe it adds a unique flavor to the recipes. And this is where I use my large spoon just to mix the last little bit in and make sure that I scrape down the sides and that there's no flour pockets. And if you don't have access to the pure vanilla, just use whatever vanilla you have on hand. And you can really see the texture of the batter here. It will thicken up with the oatmeal and flour once it starts to bake. So just go ahead and fill your muffin cups until they're about 2/3 to 3/4 full, and try to spread your batter out evenly between all 12. That way your muffins are all about the same size. Now you don't have to, this is optional, but you can top it off with something like nuts or raisins or dates. I prefer dates in mine, so I'm going to actually put a couple of dates on the top and push it into the batter a little bit so that when the muffin rises and puffs up in the baking, it won't actually spit it out, it'll actually stay intact. And you'll already have your oven preheated to 400 degrees, so you place it in that preheated oven on the middle rack and then set your timer for about 18 to 20 minutes. Then you take your muffins out and you test them to make sure that they're cooked through. You can insert a toothpick in the middle, or if you have a cake tester, that works well too. Either way, it should come out clean. And you want to make sure that you bake them long enough that they're cooked through, but not too long so that they dry out on you. And once they've cooled down a little bit that you can handle them, place them on a wire rack to cool down completely. Here's what the inside looks like. And I like to slather some butter or cheese whiz on them. You can put whatever you want on them or just eat them the way they are. And just like any muffin, they stay fresh on the counter only so long. They're the best within the first 2 or 3 days. Otherwise, you might want to place them in the freezer. They do freeze really well. Alright, so there you have the recipe, and I hope you enjoy them as much as I do. Thanks so much for watching today's episode. Now go make some.